Hello there, and welcome to the Liminia channel. Sandstorm is a weather effect that lasts for 5 turns, or 8 turns if the Pokemon that summoned the sand is holding the item Smooth Rock. Sandstorm deals 1/16 of damage to the Pokemon's max HP if the Pokemon is not the ground, rock, or steel type. There are exceptions to this, but we'll cover that later. Furthermore, Sandstorm raises the special defense of all rock types by 50% or 1.5 times. Sandstorm can be summoned by the move Sandstorm and the ability Sandstream and Sandspit. Let's see this weather effect in battle. For this battle, we're going to manually set the sand, and who better to set this with than Dugtrio, a speedy Mon with the ability that interacts with the weather. Here, abilities activate in what I'd like to call the vibe check. My opponent's Wigglytuff has the ability Frisk, which reveals our held item. I said Tailwind, which I'll cover in a future episode, with my Kilowattrel, and I set Sandstorm with my Dugtrio on my first turn since I move faster. My opponent's Wigglytuff uses Defense Curl, and if you fought the gym leader Whitney, you already know that this Wigglytuff has failed the vibe check. My opponent's Muck uses Sludge Bomb. I'm surprised that my opponent's Wigglytuff didn't use any supporting moves such as Screens or Helping Hand. Would have boosted that Muck's damage, but we'll see how this pans out. We see that we have some residual damage going on, which doesn't matter much, and I figured now's a good time to hit the opposing team with Discharge, which got a paralyze on the Muck,
shocking!
and follow up with Earthquake for that Disquake combo. I was able to knock out the Muck. I'm guessing my opponent didn't see that coming.
You weren't ready.
Wigglytuff uses Play Rough, which it gets stabbed for, but physical Wigglytuff is not able to do a good amount of damage, and Dugtrio has really low defenses. My opponent sends out Honchkrow. I think my opponent is from France, given the names of the Pokemon. As Dugtrio's done its job, I don't want to lose it, just in case I want to cause more weather shenanigans. I switch it out for Tatsugiri. My opponent chooses to transform his Honchkrow, transforms it to the Dark Terra, and uses Sucker Punch. Knocking out my Kilowattrel. And to add on to the pressure, the Honchkrow has the ability Moxie. Wigglytuff goes for Rollout, confirming that my opponent was giving me Gym Leader Whitney vibes. Unfortunately for my opponent, my Tatsugiri activated his red card, switching it out. In its place, Ball comes out. I set out my Toedscroll and decide it's time to Terrastallize as well. I transform my Tatsugiri to the Rock type. Honchkrow launches off another strong Sucker Punch, this time at the Tatsugiri, which almost knocks it out, but we were able to live with only 14 HP. My Tatsugiri uses Terra Blast, which does good damage on the Honchkrow, ensuring that it will be down next turn. My opponent goes for Aqua Step, but Tatsugiri's Storm Drain draws in the move, completely negating Aqua Step. Toedscroll uses Spore in the Ball, ensuring that it won't be a threat for a turn. This turn my Tailwind expires, but I don't need the speed advantage. I'm predicting that the Honchkrow will attempt to knock out my Tatsugiri and instead use Helping Hand on the Toedscroll, which makes the Honchkrow waste his turn targeting the wrong Mon. Toedscroll is able to secure the kill with a boosted Giga Drain, though I'm sure even without Helping Hand, it would have been able to KO with that much HP remaining. My opponent sends out the Wigglytuff, and while I've all but won, Smart Play will determine if I come out on top. Wigglytuff still wants to know what we're wearing, so we tell him it's a Quick Claw. We were able to use it and land a Giga Drain in the Ball, but it wasn't strong enough to KO.
Activate our weakness policy.
And now I feel like I'm in danger.
danger!
I was able to KO the Wigglytuff, but my main fear is that Quackball having an ice or fighting type move, which would wreck my setup. But instead it goes for another Aqua Step. Like, sir, do you have any other moves? You give me 2 boosts because of your Water Stab. At this point my opponent concedes and we have finished our first battle. Let's review how to use it. So Sandstorm has a number of abilities that can be utilized while active. Sand Rush is an ability that doubles the Pokemon speed stat. Currently all Pokemon with Sand Rush are physical attackers. Sand Force is an ability that increases the power of ground, rock, and steel type moves by 30% or 1.3 times. Pokemon with the ability Sand Force are mostly physical attackers, with Tyranitar and Gastrodon currently being the only ones with a serviceable base 95 special attack. But if you're using Tyranitar, that special attack is useful only as a surprise. The ability Sand Veil increases the evasion stat. Technically, it reduces the opponent's accuracy by a factor of 4/5 or 0.8 times. The move Weather Ball increases in power to a base power of 100 and becomes a rock type when used in this weather. Let's start our second battle. For this battle, we'll be using the ability Sandstream to set the sand, which means we won't spend a turn casting Sandstorm. We start the battle with Hippowdon and Garchomp. At the Vibe check, my ability Sandstream activates, setting the weather. Grimmsnarl uses Reflect in order to mitigate my physical damage dealt. I use Earthquake with Garchomp to gauge how much damage I deal to the Garganacl. I think that Garganacl will be a pain to deal with given his liberal use of the move Salt Cure. Of course, Garganacl uses Curse to raise its defenses. I go for a second Earthquake, hoping to knock out the Garganacl, but I wasn't lucky. The Garganacl almost knocks out my Garchomp with this play rough, but it was able to survive. Hippowdon deals some good damage against the Garganacl, but it still survived the hit. At this point, I think enough is enough. It's time to knock out that Salt Liquid Pokemon and use Earthquake with Garchomp, sacrificing my Hippowdon in the process. This works out as I have a good opportunity to switch in my next Pokemon. My opponent sends out Cloyster. I send out Bullybolt. And he sends out Hydreigon. My opponent terrestrializes the poison and I turn as well to water. I go for a Rock Slide, hoping for a flinch, but I wasn't so lucky. Hydreigon goes for a Dragon Pulse, but it misses.
Bitch, I can't see!
My opponent goes for Rock Blast into my Belly Bolt, which activates my ability Electromorphosis, which boosts the power of my next electric type move. Notably, the activation or proc doesn't stack, so we're just waiting for the animation to end. Since it was the ability Skill Link, this will take all of some time. Belly Bolt returns the pain with Parabolic Charge and one-shots the Cloyster, undoing all the work it put in with this multi-hit move. My opponent realizes he's lost and forfeits the battle. Let's go over the advantages and disadvantages. So the first advantage is that sand teams are popular due to a number of factors. The synergy the weather gives for those making use of the ability is hard to match, and is part of the reason why the weather consistently makes an appearance in the VGC metagame besides rain. But that weather can wait his turn, we'll get into that subject later. Making use of the weather enables many strong hitting Pokemon to abuse it, though here in Paldea, the most notorious Pokemon are currently not available. An example of that synergy is giving a strong, fast Pokemon with the ability Sand Force or Sand Rush a choice item, and watching it completely sweep the opponent. Next, the passive damage Sand Inflicts can prevent the activation of Focus Sash, or if the Pokemon is at 1 HP, because Focus Sash or Focus Band has saved it, the Sand can KO. Rock types are generally not known for their special defenses. When compared to Psychic types, Steel types, and Fairy types, Rock types are generally known for their physical defense. And when weather is in effect, it helps them take hits they otherwise wouldn't. For offensively minded Pokemon, this can be taken even further with an Assault Vest. While this can be at times niche, a tanky rock type can be built with it, so it is something I need to mention. The moves Solar Beam and Solar Blade are halved in power, and the moves Moonlight, Synthesis, and Morning Sun are reduced in the amount healed, approximately a quarter of the Pokemon's max HP. In return, the move Shore Up, currently the signature move of the Palossand family, is increased in the amount healed, which is approximately 2/3 of the max HP. Now, let's look over the disadvantages. The hipster's habit of dropping something once it's become mainstream has a kernel of truth to it. While team compositions have changes between one trainer and the next, or one generation and the next, the metagame is very familiar with sand teams. The popularity can be used against you, as savvy trainers will typically have something of their team that hits sand teams hard. The same chip damage that you can use against your opponent can likewise be used against you if you terrestrialize into a type that isn't supported by the weather, or use Pokemon that aren't protected from the weather. This damage can stack with other effects like Leech Seed and Purifying Salt. Those who can summon the weather, and those who can utilize it with their weather exclusive abilities are low in number, with many having little variance in coverage, or a lower attack stat compared to others because Power Creep is something that did survive the Paldean Dexit. Furthermore, most who make use of the sand are physical attackers. There is a very low number of Pokemon who can abuse the sand and are special attackers, so I recommend using safety goggles or terrestrializing to a type that can make use of the sand. So let's begin our third battle. And for our third battle, we'll be utilizing the ability Sand Spit, and it's activated by having the holder of the ability take a hit. I lead with Wugtrio and Sandaconda. At the vibe check, my opponent's booster energy activates, which increases the Pokemon's highest stat. Unsurprisingly, the Iron Bundle's highest stat is a special attack. Iron Bundle uses Protect to scout out my moves. I was going to use Sand Attack on the Iron Bundle, but Protect prevented my shenanigans. Ice Cube uses Ice Spinner on my Wugtrio, which did some good damage on a resist because Wugtrio is frail. I use Minimize on Sandaconda as I don't want it to get one-shot due to his low special defenses. Iron Bundle goes for Ice Beam on Sandaconda, but we were able to dodge. Wugtrio is on the team due to his ability Sandveil, which gives some water and ice type coverage, while giving some gimmicky play to the weather. Ice Cube goes for another Ice Spinner on the Wugtrio, which has me thinking, does it know any other moves besides its stab? Sandaconda uses Glare. Wugtrio uses Triple Dive. We use it to break the Ice Cube's Ice Face and deal some good damage. Ice Cube tries to return the favor, but...
Bitch, I can't see!
Sandaconda was able to KO the Ice Cube. That removes one hindrance to the success of my strategy. Iron Bundle goes for another Ice Beam, but it... My opponent sends out Annihilate. Its signature move gives me reason to approach the battle carefully or I'll be swept. As this is VGC, almost everything has Protect, which is why Imprison, Taunt, and Feint are good moves.
No ma'am.
I tried glaring it for the memes, but it said no.
No ma'am.
Iron Bundle finally connects with Ice Beam, one-shotting Sandaconda, but also setting the weather. I send out Houndstone. Iron Bundle was predictable and used Protect. So I used Last Respects on the Annihilate before things got out of hand. The last thing I wanted to do was let Annihilate live, as Rage Fist will clap my team.
Genjutsu of that level doesn't work on me.
My opponent sends out Clodsire, and this is where I fucked up. I used Helping Hand to buff my Houndstone and focus down the Iron Bundle before the thing gets another opportunity to wreck my team. Clodsire channels his inner future and hits me with Toxic. My first mistake was going for Psychic Fangs. While super effective damage is nice, a Helping Hand boosted Last Respects will deal good damage or outright KO the Clodsire. Clodsire is a huge fan of Future, so he gives Wugtrio the new mixtape. We go for Last Respects, but it wasn't boosted and thus was unable to KO the Clodsire. At this point the battle goes downhill and I will say that I do not win this battle. Clodsire is a thick boy and demands that the opponent handles it properly. I got stalled out and knocked out by Clodsire fanboying Future. This team strat was a bust, even outside of a misplay, as the success and failure of this team is determinant on turning a disadvantaged state, say getting hit either from your opponent or yourself, into an advantage state to proc our abilities. That being said, I will try a Sandspit team again in the future and see if my luck improves because smart play can make all the difference. Let's review how we can counter Sandstorm weather. The easiest solution is to change the weather. By changing the weather, the Sand team loses much of what made it effective. This includes neutralizing the weather with abilities such as Airlock and Cloud9. The next solution is to remove the abilities of those who abuse the weather with their abilities. This can be done with abilities such as neutralizing gas and moves such as Worry Seed and Gastro Acid. The hardest solution will be to target the weather setter first or to target the Pokemon who is using their weather exclusive abilities. I say this is the hardest because Protect and Redirection exists. Thankfully most Pokemon that are abusing Sand are currently a bit on the frailer side. Now you know about Sand teams. If you like what you saw, leave a like and share with a friend or let me know your thoughts in the comments section.